you are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain clients, create more impact and more value in your business to amplify your marketing message, Campbell Rappin, and take you through how to buyers, mastering your market, and making offers convert consistently, well, on the inside. Welcome back, my friends. We are here to talk about innovation, branding, and how to actually create systems that scale. And I am super excited to introduce you to our guest today. She's a firecracker, and you know I love those. This is somebody who I met and thought, wow, she knows what she's doing. I would trust her with my brand, and I would trust her with my network. And I said, you should come play with me on Amplify Your Marketing Message. If you do not have the pleasure yet of meeting Sam Ghanem, this is going to be your moment to meet Sam. Sam, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm honored, honestly. And I trust you with my brand and in my network for sure.
Well, and this is what it's all about. You know, I think the story of branding, and you are going to talk about your story for a second, but your story of branding is so important because it isn't just what you think it is. It's about how it shows up, how people experience it, and it shouldn't be accidental. You've got an interesting story. Tell us how you got to be leading other people through brand so that they can scale with the people, the experiences, and the customers they want to serve.
Well, first I'll thank you. And I appreciate being seen. And I see you. And I see what you're doing. And I love it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
My career started when I guess I was 19. So 25 years ago. I've been in the print manufacturing, branding, and marketing space for that long. And I was with the same company for 19 years. By the time I was 25, I had $10 million of P&L, 50 employees, 17 presses, and I was in pretty much every industry. And it was very quick for me to realize if you do not have R&D, research and development in some fashion in every single step and every process of your business, let it be a small side hustle all the way to a $1 billion brand. And I'll share that I treat everything like a $1 billion brand because it is, and you are, and we are.
Yes.
I realized that you have a significant gap. And I think for small businesses, we think, oh, I can't afford something. And so then it just doesn't happen. And I beg to say you can't afford not to. And it's like be audacious. You get to have every single departmental step and every check and balance that any other $1 billion business has. In fact, you have what I feel small businesses have is an opportunity rather than an obstacle to be that much better, because small business has an excessively large bucket and sometimes they get stuck in revision central. And I'm here to say version 1 is better than version none, and we can't measure what we can't test, right?
I love
like
that.
You can't test, you can't measure what you don't test. So in the end, we need data. We need data. So branding for me, I'll say it to you this way. In 25 years, from brands like the military to Mercedes, IBM to SG Inc., Let's Go 180, and Coach brands, and I mean a Tony Robbins, a Mel Robbins, and the Orlando Magic. At the end of the day, what you say is your marketing and how you live is your branding. And neither of those things are by accident.
This is so important. I think, we often, every entrepreneur knows I wear a million hats. And I would say most would not include R&D as part of it. And that's the gap. And that's why I love the fact that you have brought what big business does really well to make it accessible, because marketing isn't an accident. If there is incongruency in the mix, customers don't trust you. And in this economy where there's so much trust deficit, you can't afford this. So talk to me about this accessible way to do R&D and the fact that you've got data, but you're not going to have perfection, but you are in pursuit of a winning formula.
Right. So what I'll say is this. I think the best example is I'll use a solopreneur or a founder. We think we've got all the hats and we've got to wear them all. And that it is true, especially for a time.
For a time.
For a time. And then when you think of passing the baton or you create an expansion, when I think of scaling, I think tall and wide. And sometimes our scaling doesn't necessarily look like a direct W-2 or 1099. It could look like a joint venture partner. It could look like a strategic partner. Like, look at us, right? Sometimes that's 1 and 1 makes 11. And it's like, yes, I'm all me and you're all you, and we can really grow this thing. what happens is something as simple as a CRM, which is like, in some regards, people are like, oh, a CRM. It becomes the motor to your business. It becomes where you track leads. You remove the emotion out of entirely. You create a systematized, optimized procedure that keeps you consistent. I do not believe, in all of my experiences, as deliberate and diligent as I am, if you rely on willpower alone, you will fall flat on your face. Consistency and discipline are the only things that really you can scale. And so by utilizing a CRM, by literally sitting with your messaging, testing, analyzing, and refining in a week could lead to significantly more conversions. You don't have to have months and months and months of data. We can release version 1 right now, and in 7 days, go, how did this look? Oh, we made it here. We had this many clicks. We made that many conversions. Interesting, these conversions came from this kind of client. Should I then revise my messaging to go, you know what? I thought I was talking to her, but I guess I'm talking to him. And you're kind of on the ride. Not kind of, you're on the ride. And I'm saying, buckle up and let's go, get on the ride. And imagine we have 3, 6, 9, 12 months of this. Now we have legitimate optimized data to run with. You take the emotion completely out of it. To me, when I think emotion, I don't mean like the negative emotions. I actually mean we get to interject the emotions we enjoy. Like, I can go run with these clients that I know I'm converting to create the space to go do the philanthropy work, to go do the women empowerment events, to go run the races that I love, to go do all the other things, because I know that this data is converting and it's working, and they're hearing me and I hear them. And I think we get confused when we think of marketing, because we think of marketing and we go, oh, it's social media boosts. Oh, it's posting on LinkedIn as a thought leader. Oh, it's printing and I own a printing company. I'm saying, pun intended, it's what you say, how frequently you say it, and who you say it to. And sometimes those 3 things change. Sometimes they're seasonal. How will you know if you don't have some kind of system, something to show you these things, to keep you accountable, to create a discipline of like a habit stack? This is how my business is run. These are the metrics that I'm looking to match or exceed. This is why. And then as we grow, when we pass on a position, we have some baseline. Because otherwise, when we hire people, we create a job for them to go figure out how to do the job. And then we have to manage them. And so we've created another job for ourselves. And I think there's a delineation between owning a business and owning a job.
Yes.
Right?
100%. I think we often underestimate, you say, we don't need months and months and months of data, but the thing that always stymies everybody I know when we come into conversation with them, who do you want to serve? There's some idea, but not great clarity. And then I say, who are you actually serving? Who is actually responding to your message? Because if you are going to win quickly and predictably in business, go where the market is moving. Mm-hmm. And you learn where the market is moving by what's responding. And then you have to check with yourself, is it responding in the way I want? I want more of that. Or something is off. And that's the opportunity you're given with data. And every business owner needs a customer CRM, even if it's as simple as a spreadsheet, because the longer you're in business, the faster it is to lose clarity on what happened when and who's on first base.
Right.
Because you're like, who did I meet last week? I can't remember. I'm sure I sent them the email and no idea. Oh, I didn't do it. Oh, no wonder I'm not making any sales. So if you're in the emerging space and you need support, you've obviously got people like you who are fractional CMOs to come in. But whose role is it to lead R&D and to constantly bring it back to table? Because we know we could, and we're seeing the magic of possibility. How do we live it, though? And who's responsible for it?
So the who, I think, varies on the business, but I'll say this. I opened up my own fractional capacity because I want the answer to that question to be the me or the me's of the world, so that the you's of the world can go live in your zone of genius, make the money, do what makes you happy and lights you on fire. And then someone like me brings you back and anchors you and goes, oh, cool, amazing. So this is these are the leads in our pipeline. These are the exact calls to action we're giving them. These are exactly how they're responding. This is where they are, who's on first, who's running that play. Oh no, that fell through. No big deal. This is how we come back from it. Or, oh, actually, nothing fell through. We actually need to hire. We need to divide and conquer. We usually have a more desirable problem But I think what happens is people with R&D, they think, oh no, it's the teacher who's going to scold me. I'm going to get the discipline or I'm going to get grounded. And it's like, no, it's the other way. It's actually the freedom. It's to say, if you're like me and you averaged at one point 40 events a month, what do you do with them? Because if you do not go into that event heart-centered and systematized, knowing a plan of action and a call to action of who's in the room and how you're going to connect with them so it resonates, that's step one. Two, if you don't have a system that backs you up your follow-up, because the fortune is in the follow-through, not in the follow-up. So to your point, did I send the email? Well, I'm ready for those emails to be sent before I go. I'm going to drop in the contacts and I'm going to drop in the specifics to our conversation. And those emails are going to go out within 24 hours of my meeting with a very deliberate call to action. And they're not a sales email either. They're, Christine, it was amazing. You lit me up. Thank you so much for seeing me. I cannot wait to take on this next project. We talked about X, Y, and Z this Thursday at 10 o'clock work. It's really simple. And then being able to understand what that translates to. Did they open it? Did they click it? Did it convert to anything? Sometimes it's figuring out, does your CRM work? It has nothing to do with you or the other person. Is your CRM working?
It's true. We rise to our level of systems and we sink to the lack of them.
Right.
And I think we often just have systems out of sequence. There's two types of entrepreneurs in my observation. There are those that go with no systems for far too long until capacity and the number of eggs that get dropped become expensive. Or there's those that think, I'll build all the systems and then wait for my customers to get here. And both happen a lot. It's important that we start and that we refine. And that's what the whole R&D process is. How does that lead to branding and how people experience us?
So we have an idea. We have a desired call to action. Maybe we have a logo, a slogan, and a stamp of our business and who we are. In our minds, not only do we love it, we live it. Our team's on board, we're ready. We need clients. Version 1 is better than version none. We run a play on version 1. Based on the response, it doesn't mean, oh, I sent out 100 warm hellos and I only got 20 back. And so the whole thing is scrapped. No, it's taking those 20 and going, who are they? What do they do? Who are their clients? What pain points do they solve? Wait a minute, maybe I've got my client avatar wrong. To your point, maybe the persona is different than what I thought, but right now they're biting. What do? I refine for them, especially when you're sitting in the launch space. We know what our hearts want, and we also know what the market wants. Sometimes they're not the same. As long as you're acting in integrity, sometimes you flip your business plan or your model. You thought that maybe your clients were mid to large business, but you realized actually small wants me more than I ever thought. I'm going to do a 90-day run and I'm just going to lock arms with all small. Small might be a small enterprise solution. Small might be 49 employees or less, and small might be, in the $500,000 range of revenue. Depends on how you measure it. But when it comes to branding, a brand is a living, breathing entity. Why? Because it's you. A brand is not a third party. So if you are constantly under development, if you give yourself oxygen, vitamin B, D, and water, those same things are needed to give life to your brand. The same way you water a plant and you rotate it, the same thing happens to you as a brand. I think where the disconnect happens is when we treat our brand like it's outside of us. We treat it like an afterthought. I did my logo package. I spent $20,000 on my CRM and implementation. I have a beautiful brand guide. Everyone at SG Inc. says, if you think it, we ink it. That's our motto. Okay, cool. Who's our client? Are they saying it? Because in reality, we maybe aren't our client, right? And I think that I've learned from the most massive government agencies to delicious mom and pop restaurants, all you ever want to know is that you're working and that it's working, that you're working it and it is working. And the only way to know that is to be able to test out your brand, your messaging. Generally speaking, what converts a client is how you make them feel. You are selling a belief. So is the aesthetic of your brand pretty? That is an ambiguous, interpreted statement. Is your message landing to your ideal client? There's more proof in the pudding there. And so when you do the R&D, you're able to really anchor yourself in your language create a culture around that language, and test to see if your clients respond to it. And if they don't, what beautiful feedback to adjust. It's like you would have never known. You would have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on an idea with no testing.
Well, and I think we often don't know, as we hope we think we do, what the market wants. And we think we're going to curate the demand. And you can. It's just a very long runway, and there's a very expensive pathway, and the R&D is not optional in that path. If you're going to go from zero to curate demand, you're going to be stuck. You're a bad barometer of what the market wants, because you're in the space of the enlightened. And that's one of the biggest challenges with business owners. I said, you're in the enlightened space. You've solved it, you've identified it, you can articulate it, and in some level, that's elevated thinking. But your person who might be the person you're meant to serve is not in the same time continuum. Same journey maybe, but earlier decades or earlier seasons. And so they're with language that's different, and they're in options and spaces and rooms that you've maybe migrated past. The only way you know that is data. And if you find a sweet spot that says that's a possibility, you then get to choose pursuing it, and pursuing it to be effective, which is not just activity, the right activity to serve the client, because their goal line isn't applause. That's a nice to have. Our goal line is service of people.
Right.
The result they wanted.
Mm-hmm. I think the most beautiful thing there that I hear is that no matter your industry and no matter your enterprise size, you're in the business of people. And I'll say it again, you're selling a belief, not a manufactured belief, a legitimate belief, the belief that this thing can help serve my pain point. You're always anchoring yourself as the guide and the subject matter expert. You're like the flashlight if somebody's illuminating a space, a walkway. And you're giving a client options, because sometimes they don't even know what their options are. They have one desire: get me out of where I am right now. Just get me out of there. Pick me up and take me. And the fact that they agreed to your pick me up and take me gives them one role in their own story. They're the hero there, and you're the guide. And that can be scaled and rinsed and repeated beyond belief, because the greatest gift of gratitude is a referral. So my thing is, you may not always be talking to your exact client, but man, when you anchor the belief that you are the subject matter expert to help them achieve a desired transformation, a light bulb goes off and they go, oh my God, Christine, I found them. I don't think they're who I'm looking for. I think they're who you're looking for. That is the ultimate compliment.
Yes.
Imagine they haven't even used your service, but it's like that RAS system of the blue or red Ferrari. You see one and all of a sudden you start to spot them, right? I just can't say enough the absolute fire inside me when it comes to helping a brand get unstuck and scaling with clarity on the back end, because time is our greatest resource. And if you can constantly be in a space where 1 + 1 is 11, it's never 2, then you know you're working smarter, not harder. And a system allows you to do that. And I'll invite the audience to consider that rather than think of our external system solely, think of your internal system. A CRM and a back end of a business allows you as a human being to be accountable in your own internal system, how you show up, the consistency, the clarity, the deliberate, inspired action taking steps, the connecting of your relationship equity, who you talk to, who you don't talk to, right? To me, it's one all-encompassing ecosystem, and it's, to me, very energizing.
Well, and it is the freedom. It is the pathway to scaling, and it is the pathway to predictability. And you got to remember, a buyer is looking for predictability. And it's something that you need to just vet in terms of, it sounds good, is it true? And is it reflective of the current? Because remember this, clients of every shape, in every business, in every industry I've ever met, is banking on you to help them navigate an unknown. So they're choosing a very personal decision. It's not the logo, it's not the font. It is much more about the lived experience and the feeling, as you say. And so I want to ask you this, because I ask all my guests this to illustrate how you win in the marketplace. What are you doing right now that's really attracting your people to buy into the results and hold your hand to get them together? What's working right now in your business?
To me, what's working extremely well are my strategic partnerships. So I figured out, as founders and entrepreneurs, that joint venture partnerships and aligning yourself with really the right equal yoked individual who sees you, who understands your value, and where you can both be in respective rooms and each of you has representation. We can go so much further together. 2 things it did for me. I didn't need to be in every room. When you're busy or delivering your clients the service and the desired transformation, that's what you prayed for, right? That's what you worked for. But I figured out you're developing an ecosystem, a tribe of like-minded entrepreneurs who run alongside you. Helps me from a mindset perspective, because it's this concept of agency of self doesn't mean isolation. Mm-hmm. It's the opposite to me, actually. I'm like, hello, warm hug, come in, let's go do this thing. Secondarily, it is incredible, like I mentioned, what a referral from a client, prospect, or colleague sounds like. And so when you're a trusted expert or resource to someone, and I'm able to hand them off to you, I've not only given you the ultimate compliment, I've done some of the heavy lift with you. Like, I bring them to the table for you, and it's bliss. It doesn't mean that it's easy, but there's a lot more ease. Yeah. And it took me a long time. I'm on year 6 of being fully on my own. And I would say that landed hard in year 5. And I recognize that the power of entrepreneurs is that we all get to connect our ecosystems in the way that complement each other. Unlike a job where you're working with a bunch of people and maybe you like them, maybe you don't, but you kind of have to. In this space, we get to create our colleagues and our coworkers, yes, right, outside of our organizations. And that's kind of proof in how you and I met.
It is exactly right. In the right opportunity and a belief in the values that we're aligned to say, let's go play.
Yeah.
And I love this freedom of you don't have to be in every room to be in every room.
Right.
Somebody really understands your brand, really understands what your promise is, and knows that you will walk your talk if you're gifted a referral. So how do people find you and work with you in the work that you do?
So my website is I am Sam Ghanem. So it's IAMSAMGHANEM.com. And my Instagram is at SamWGHANEM.
Guys, go connect to Sam. She's an amazing human being. I'm very grateful our paths crossed.
Me too.
Know that we're going to do some really fun things together and bring brands and humans to success stories together, because it is the lived experience. It is the feeling we create. And my friends, the future is human. Don't ever mistake that, because the relationships are the catalyst you are seeking. Thank you for being my guest today, guys. This is Amplify Your Marketing Message. Be back here next week. We're going to help you find your next client fast and have a lot more fun on the journey to it. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much.
That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, host Christine Campbell-Rappin. Be sure to subscribe on your podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. Be sure to visit christinecampbell.com/podcast to get free resource on Haster, your marketing message. We'll see you all on our next episode.